Hey guys, I'm Bobby Tewksbury coming to you with Pelotero Pickle episode 22. We're going to talk about spin rates. We're talking about expansion teams. Where would Chris and I put our expansion team if we could choose? How do you help your team from the bench? Let's talk Francisco Lindor trade and then NFL football predictions. Join us. Let's go. Pickle. Welcome to episode 22 of Pelotero Pickle. I'm Bobby Tewksbury, joined by Chris Colabello. Chris, how are you today?
Better than your eyes, Bobby. Better than your eyes.
Let me talk, get the camera back on me. How's that? This cedar is no joke in Texas.
I've been there, man.
It's no joke. We have more snow than you guys do in Texas. Made 3 snowmen yesterday. Their names were Olaf 1, Olaf 2, and Mailbox. Cohen named one of the snowmen Mailbox because it was next to the mailbox.
I would have bet my bottom dollar that it would have stayed on the Olaf train. That wouldn't have changed.
And it's like the community mailbox too, so it's like a big multi, like there's 30, 40 mailboxes within the it's like a big block of mailboxes. She's like, what do you want to name it? I'm like, I don't know, you pick. And she just said mailbox. So that's what we're going with. We're going to go off script right now, but Scherzer was one of the named cheaters in the Angels fired some guy that was supposedly concocting the sticky substance, whatever. It was Scherzer, Cole. Who was it? There was one more big name. What do you got on that?
I'm surprised producer Patrick didn't put this in the rundown because I thought this was right up his alley. But this, and it's not his fault because I know he's paying attention, but case in point to how people pick and choose what they want to consider cheating, not cheating, whatever. It's crazy to me that it's literally crazy that in the Major League rulebook, it says you're not allowed to use a foreign substance on your fingers. And it's reprimandable. It's something that could get you ejected, get you fined, get you suspended. And it says nothing about stealing signs. And the biggest crap storm in the history of the universe happened when the Astros stole signs. But now people are finding out that there's a special substance. I told you I heard 2 years ago about the not pine tar sticky stuff that was coming from a guy that had been with Houston. And Bauer said the same things. And now what do I think about it? They're using chemistry to make sticky stuff that's better than sticky stuff. And so, Bauer basically all but said, hey, I used this last year and it made my RPMs go up by 400 to 500 on my heater.
He led the league in spin rate.
Yeah. So,
and it's pretty clear that when you do that, it's like, is it like the equivalent of a corked bat for a hitter where it's a performance enhancing substance? It's a non-natural way of performing differently than you would naturally.
For years, pitchers made the argument, oh, well, I need to have control of the ball and have command. And look, I've thrown a lot of baseballs in my life, and when they're slippery, it sucks, right? You kind of don't know where it's going. It's the equivalent. Same thing happens to me with a basketball. When I walk in the gym, if my hands are cold and you need kind of some sticky powder or whatever, how do you monitor that stuff? Do you need to pay attention to it enough? If the public makes a big enough stink, Major League Baseball will respond. And they already tried to by firing this guy that worked for the Angels, it's incredible to me how they scapegoat dudes that really have nothing to do with the be all and end all. And the people that are in shock that he was doing it for the visiting clubhouse, bro, the visiting clubhouse pays his tips, not the home players. You don't care who wins. They don't get it. It's just follow the money, guys. Just follow the money. The visiting clubhouse guy, he's a fan, but at the end of the day, if he's going to get an extra 30 grand in tips, you think he's not going to help the players in that clubhouse? That's his job.
And this form of cheating isn't going to go anywhere. I'm not sure if I told this story, but Worcester Tornadoes 2006, I think it was 2006. A pitcher was on the team. I was getting my ankle wrapped up or something. And he came into the trainer's room and grabbed the pre-wrap adhesive spray. And he just emptied the can on the side of his leg. And I was like, this dude just came out of affiliated ball. I thought he was really cool. I thought like he had some pretty decent accolades. And I'm like, this dude he literally emptied the can of adhesive spray on his leg and he kept checking to make sure there was enough and go in the game. And he's got a two-seamer that moves more than any two-seamer I've ever seen. And I'm like, that sucks.
Do you know how many times I've been asked to bring a pine tar rag down in the tunnel by a pitcher? It got to the point where I said, just do it in the dugout. Nobody cares. As long as it's like not on your neck and you're not a scumbag and we're not in a war with the other team, nobody's going to care. Which, I mean, now that we're talking about Bauer's literally proving to people that it's affecting performance in a significant way. This is worse than anything else. And oh, by the way, not to mention, like let's suspend guys because we think that they have it's just so ludicrous. I went through what I went through for doing nothing, and we got people changing the course of their careers, getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars, shifting the dynamic and landscape of the game of baseball, and like let's just turn the other way until the public or the media makes a big enough stink of it. Picking and choosing which arguments, and honestly, if the media gets on board with this thing and decides that they're gonna fight it till the end, then something's gonna happen. If not, nothing will happen and things will carry on. Just the way the world.
Bauer's a very interesting case because he's on like this media tour. He's got the watch momentum thing. He's giving this unprecedented look into the free agency process. And there's just a lot of irony that like, should his free agency be affected by the fact that like he's basically, without saying it, has said that's what he did. Didn't he have one start against the Astros where his spin rate was like 400 or 500 higher for one inning just to prove a point, and then went back down to normal. So like if you're doing like you're leading the league in spin, you're basically doing things that aren't
human.
They're not natural. Clearly not natural. It's almost the equivalent might be Bonds with McGuire, where Bonds went on like this vendetta tour to be the best and to prove that he was the best, but they never really got him officially for anything. But it was certainly kind of understood that there was stuff going on. It's weird and it's unfortunate. And
the problem is when you try to do one thing, it's either everything or nothing, right? And it's either everything or nothing, and they're just selectively picking and choosing what they deem to be wrong, even if they don't know for a fact that it's wrong. They're putting that onus on other people to decide so that they can stay out of the middle of it. When push comes to shove, look, my perspective is always going to be anti-institution, I guess, right? Because and I get it, it's hard. Like, how do you balance letting your players play and trying to do what's right? And on the surface you want to say, hey, kick all the cheaters out, keep all the the clean players in, and even just defining those lines is so difficult to do, right? Like you mentioned a cork bat, right? Like how many people got away with using a cork bat in their career or whatever? I never even would have even known what a cork bat felt like because I never saw one, never felt like the difference. But there's always going to be people trying to gain a competitive advantage, and unless you say specifically like these are the rules, and if we catch you, here's your punishment, it's just not. And they tried doing that with the performance enhancing drug stuff, right? And then all of a sudden, look what happened to me. I get caught in this ring of doom that like nobody's going to go out of their way to tell the public that, hey, there may be a problem with this test, even though everybody that's going through it and even the labs themselves and the scientists are like, yeah, well, or all the research pointing to something different now. Like, but Major League Baseball just went, oh, like whatever, like you guys handle it, and I don't blame them for that. It's not even their fault. But when it comes to like stuff that's happening in-house and your players literally, like if you're gonna do what you did to players for this stuff, and you weren't 100% sure if it was right, but you put that on somebody else to determine that, and now they're not sure if it's right, but now you know that like stuff's going on in your own game. But hey, this guy's a borderline, like he's on that, teetering that line, not teetering that line. He is a star. He is somebody that people pay attention to. So, we got to make sure that we don't do too much. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the fallout is, if there is any, if anybody cares, if the media runs with it. Who knows?
We shall see.
Topic number 2.
So last week we started talking about if we could have our own team, our own major league team, be an expansion team. You have to pick the following: your city, your team name, manager, closer, player under age of 25, player over the age of 35. And so we started talking about it. We got cut. Our producer said we sucked. You're out. You're done. Show over. I want you to talk about it next week. So, Bobby, give me your city. Let's go back and forth. City.
So I'm not sure exactly which city. You might be able to answer this better because I just don't know the answer. But I would definitely go Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Puerto Rico's not a city. So we'll go San Juan.
Okay. So San Juan, Puerto Rico.
I've never been to Puerto Rico, and I don't know. I'm gonna choose either Vancouver, which is Canadian, Montreal, which is Canadian, or Nashville, which is the obvious U.S. one. But Vancouver, I've heard, is off the charts. And Johnny Drama had a line. He's like, Vancouver's got the best in the country, and they're like, Vancouver ain't the country. Turtle said it to him. They cursed the whole time.
I've heard Vancouver.
We have the explicit
really
thing on our podcast.
Vancouver's really nice. I've heard. I've played in Olympic Stadium up in Canada, which was cool. They already had a chance and it didn't work. So maybe Vancouver deserves a shot. How's the weather up there? What's the cold weather season like? Is it like rain like Seattle? Because they're way over there, right?
Seattle-ish. The other place you could go with is I was just thinking in the Carolinas. The Carolinas, Charlotte is a big league city. And there's no pro team there.
It's a lot of that's like minor league alley down there.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of minor league teams.
IL South.
College sports are big there. Like college sports aren't big in the Northeast at all. It's all pro sports. They're not big.
College hockey is dominated by the Northeast.
You just said college hockey, which by default isn't big.
And
also University of North Dakota, University of Colorado. Is it Northern Colorado? North Dakota, I think Northern Colorado, Denver, Minnesota. Though that's hockey country.
Moving on. Who's your manager?
Roberto Alomar.
Whoa.
That's a good one.
That's out of left field. Any particular reasoning?
He's Puerto Rican, and I know he was in. There were some discussions about him in Toronto at one point. I've heard players talk about him in a very favorable way.
I love his stance.
Yeah, he was a really good player.
Stance is he hit both of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he ever got. What is he doing now? I know he's like involved with Toronto in some capacity, or
yeah, he does like a bunch of Jays Care stuff. He'll do like the Robbie Alomar camps.
Yeah, but that's my manager.
I'm first team all John Gibbons, so I'm just gonna go Gibby. Gibby's my guy. It's because he wrote my name on the card more times than he didn't. There were times when he didn't, but that's okay.
I got player under 25 and player over 35, but I don't know about closer. I'm just gonna take like Liam Hendricks, I guess. Give him a shot.
Yeah, we got Lime. We're both biased to Lime Hendricks.
Yeah, we'll just give him a shot.
Just because we know.
My young player is Javi Baez. I feel like the Cubs are going to get rid of everybody, so he's available.
He's available. It's based on availability and
talent.
He hit a $137 last year, whatever it was.
Yeah, but he's swagged out.
Yeah, he's so swaggy.
I got to check his stat line. I still
Soto.
think he's available. I think anybody on the Cubs is available right now.
I'm taking Soto every day of the week, twice on Sunday. I'm going to sell the farm to get Soto.
Yeah, but you're not playing to your. I'm playing to my fan base right now. Javi Baez hit 203.
Yeah, you're going all cultural.
He's also 28. So
Baez.
So we'll say we'll make the cutoff 28.
Well, He's almost under the age of 25.
I think that the three obvious is Acuna's under 25, Soto's under 25, Tatis under 25. Those are
How is
Pretty
Baez
much.
28? That's crazy.
pretty much
Um,
everyone's choice.
Yadi Molina is my player over 35. He might be
Chris
retired.
Chris
but he's-
Caldwell is mine. I'm going with me every day of the week. I'm gonna be able. I'm like touchdown Tommy, dude. I'm gonna play till I'm 50, bro. I don't even care, dude. I'm gonna just be so swagged out of my mind, just getting knocks, throwing for touchdown passes.
Are you
It's crazy.
officially retired right now?
No,
Do you have to file paperwork, or is it just assumed at a
I
certain
don't
point?
know. I talked to Kratz the other day. He was like, I was like, Kratz, you getting any job offers? He's like, dude, I opted out, bro. And I was like, you opted out? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm not retiring. That's like too official. He's like, I just opt out of the season. And he's like, it's like when people that nobody cares about stop playing, they just stop playing. They don't retire. Like either nobody offers them a job or they don't play anymore. They
So
opt
they're
out.
effectively retired.
Is it considered retiring if you can't get hired? If you can't get hired to hit baseballs, which is the thing you do probably better than 93% of the players that are in the big leagues right now. Safe to say that. If you can't get hired to do that, are you retired or are you just you're a free agent? You're a free agent.
We could say free agent. That sounds
Yeah, I'm a
nicer.
free agent. I'm available.
It's your best ability. Is
If
availability.
you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far. Don't worry, baby. Just call my name. I'll hit a rocket. We'll win the game. Cause baby, there ain't no pitch fast enough.
Keep going.
Ain't no breaker tight enough. Ain't no pitcher tough enough to keep me from getting a knock, babe.
Nice. That brought me back to Remember the Titans. That was good. Next topic. How do you help your team win from the bench? Tips for players to be impactful from the bench. Tips for coaches to keep players engaged on the bench. Being a non-starter is one of the hardest things to do in baseball.
A nice way of saying it. A nice way of saying it. Non-starter.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about like you show up to the field every day not knowing if your name's in the lineup. I think it's easier if you know your name's not going to be in the lineup. If you expect your name to be in the lineup and it's not, if you're like on the fringe, that's when it sucks.
The tip for the coaches, definitely communication. Like, right, that's number one. Communicate, over communicate.
I think we need to clarify level here too a little bit. If you're like if you're a known major league role player, that's like Matt Stairs. Like Matt Stairs probably knows what his job is. He's pinch hitting in late game situations. He might give somebody time off at first base once every 2 weeks, but Matt Stairs knows the job. You got like platoon is way bigger in baseball now. You got catchers that are doing 4-1 situations. If you're talking like youth league, you got a kid that like is maybe just not good. You have to communicate with the parents as much as anything. When it's a pay for play situation, it's super hard. I think once you get to like high school varsity level, for sure, the coach has to play the best players to try to win ball games.
I would make the argument that there's a really simple way to manage all this, right? And it's not simple, but it's inside the box, outside the box, whatever, right? So you have what I don't know which one it is.
Inside the box, outside the box, whatever.
But I don't know which one it is. That's why it doesn't seem outside the box to me. It seems inside the box. So by and large, on any team, you're going to have 12 to 13 position players, right? Fair. Like, doesn't matter,
Okay.
amateur or old. Like the only teams that don't have 12 to 13, like college teams that have freshmen that come in, they'll probably have 18 hitters, which is a little bit harder to manage. But you got, like, I would say you have a 12 to 13 player rotation. Like, just in hoops, you got like 8 or 9 guys you go to. So you have, let's call it, if it's 12, you have an extra catcher, an extra infielder, an extra outfielder. If it's 13, you have a jolly. It's one of those other two, or it's a third catcher. If you have the extra infielder, you give everybody, like if you play every day of the week, right? If you're talking about pro ball, you're talking playing every day of the week. You have that guy play 3 or 4 and give everybody a day off, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the infield. You have the outfielder play 3, give everybody a day off during the week. So the starters play 6, the infielders, same thing. They play 6, and then this guy plays 4 or 3, and you just let them know. And then obviously if there's an injury or you get to the quarter mark or whatever, or you get a feeling, you just make sure you slide up to the guy, hey, I'm going to go with this guy tomorrow just because, better matchup, whatever, so on and so forth. But making sure you're talking to people. At the amateur level, like, you still got to talk to people, right? Like, guys got to know when they're your guys. Like, there are guys that I would run out there even if they hit 0 for a whole season because they're that type of player for their team. They're that type of leader or whatever. They're just established they're the guy. And then you have to let other people understand that. Like, at a young age, a lot of guys have a tendency to rest their laurels on getting 2 hits to get in the lineup, right? And one of the things that I would never, ever do as a manager, I would never, ever give a guy an off day after he went 0 for 4. Ever. Like, I would just never say, hey, like, you're coming out of lineup tomorrow because you suck. Because that's, like, the first thing that goes to your brain. I would wait and make sure they got 1 and then be like, hey, I'm going to give you the day tomorrow. So you don't feel like a failure. And then obviously as, like, things are changing, and that happens a lot when players are young, like, guys establish that they belong in the lineup, you have to just communicate with players. And I think at the amateur level, be it high school, be it college, be it travel ball, I think it's just easier to make sure you keep guys in a rotation. Like, in college, you have midweek games. In high school, you have non-league games. You've got to keep players prepared in the event that you need them, because the presumption that you're gonna go with 9 guys the whole year is irresponsible. Now, I think you should have your lineup, and that should be your lineup, and then the player who's the substitute, the jolly, the rotating player, the non-starter should know that, right? But still should be getting reps, because there's going to come a point in time where somebody's going to get hurt, or something's going to happen, somebody's going to start playing poorly, they're going to get in trouble, whatever, and you're going to need that player, and you need him to be ready.
Yeah, pro ball, I think, like you're saying, it's a lot easier to rotate guys when you have 2 games a week, and like,
Sure.
I mean, youth baseball, you just got to get everybody in. That's just it's what you have to do. But even in that situation, you communicate as best you can and tell people when they're playing, let them know what their role is. I've always found that giving players jobs on the bench and getting them involved, educating them. What's that?
I would have hated it if you told me to do the book. I would have.
No, but you do it in an educational way. You get them involved in decisions. You ask them what they would do in certain situations. Just try to teach the game. And then when you bring out your better players, make sure that they're doing the same jobs that we'll say the players that aren't as good. Just make sure they know it's a level playing field, that when you're not playing, you have jobs to do, no matter how good of a player you are. And make that just kind of like your universal. This is what happens when you're not on the field, you still have jobs to do. There's still things that need to contribute to the team. I'm not a big like rah guy in terms of like being loud and cheerleading, but picking guys up and letting them know, like getting off the bench after the end of an inning, greeting their teammates coming off the field, stuff like that needs to happen.
Well, I think it becomes easier for players. So tips for players on the bench, just try to stay engaged, stay with your teammates, be supportive. It's not your teammates' fault that you're not playing. It's not their fault. They're not writing a lineup card. So, like, I can't tell you how many times I felt myself rooting against any of my teammates. If any of my teammates listen to this, I'm sorry. You probably weren't one. If you're listening to this show, you're probably not one of the teammates that I rooted against. And I mean that with all due respect, because now I can say anything. You wanted to play. Like, I wanted to play. I didn't know what it was like to sit on the bench. So there were times when, when I felt uncomfortable or I was scuffling, and there was always when I was in a dark place. Like, when I was in the right frame of mind, I never rooted against anyone that was on my team to try to help our team win. But, as a competitor, you say to yourself, like, man, I really want to be in there. I think I can contribute more than the player that is there. And I'm gonna be honest with you, there was never a time in my career where I felt like I shouldn't have been on the field, where I felt like me being in the lineup wasn't going to help our team win. That was throughout my 16-year career. So, it's different. I've never, I guess, and in all, I think that's a fair statement. I don't think that's overzealous, right? Like I don't think that's overshooting, out kicking my coverage. But if I was a player who had, you know, a guy in front of me at a position I was blocked, like let's say I was a catcher and I had Yachty in front of me, like I don't think I could have sat there and been like, well, I should be the one in there. You know what I mean?
Well, in that situation, you just got to do it. You like just learn as much as you can.
Yeah.
If you have like greatness ahead of you, try to ride coattails and stay close and build a relationship.
I think so. Like to be able to be impactful from the bench, you have to be a positive person. You have to understand your role, the reason why you're there, and what the team's ultimate goal is. You have to be the ultimate team player to play from the bench. I had a really hard time doing it at first. I wasn't used to it. Term I really like, cognitive dissociation. I learned this recently about how the more we become adults, the more we have a foundation of information, the harder it is to detach ourselves from what we know to be our normal. I only knew how to play till I was 28. I sat on the bench 7 times in my life, and when there was a game going on when I wasn't either hurt or, you know, whatever. And that's not counting the first probably 15 games in Worcester. Other than that, maybe 20 games that I went to the field and my name wasn't on a lineup card. So now all of a sudden I get to the big leagues and they're like, you're not playing. What? What does that mean? I thought somebody was mad at me, and it's difficult. So you have to learn how to prepare yourself for the moment when you do get an opportunity, because a guy like me was going to get pinch hits. And my first year I pinch hit and I was 0 for the pinch hits, which was probably like 10. People used to tell me, well, go get ready, do this, do that. And I'd go get ready and then I'd sit and I'd go get ready and sit, because pinch hitting, you just never know when you're going to hit. Where people are always curious to know that the next year, I would always look at DeMarlo Hale. He would look at me. I would always know when it was, because it's 7, 8, or 9, right? You're pinch hitting for. I'm not pinch hitting for Edwin or Jose. So I would look down at DeMarlo and I would always make sure I was doing something that resembled me getting ready, i.e. putting my shin guard on or my elbow guard or grabbing my bat so that he would know that we were on the same wavelength. And then I would walk down in the tunnel and I would bend over and touch my toes. And then I would come out and be like, yeah, I'm ready. And he's like, what? You good? I'm like, yeah, I've been getting ready mentally for like 3 innings. But I realized one thing I learned was if I got loose and then shut it down and then got loose and shut it down, not only did I get hot and cold, but I also psyched myself out of the at-bat so many times because I tried to overly prep. Where when you come off the bench, you have to just kind of understand, hey, it's going to be what it'll be. You know, I'm going to go do my best, and whatever happens, happens, and it is what it is. And then, ironically enough, I started getting hits off the bench, which was cool. It's better than not getting a hit. Best thing ever at Yankee Stadium. 1 pitch off Andrew Miller, base hit, got pinch run for. That was the easiest day's pay I ever had, or the best day's pay probably. You're 1 for 1, played for 11 seconds, got to eat lobster spread at Yankee Stadium, hit off Andrew Miller. Come on, straight chilling.
Have a day. Go get
I'd
him.
rather go 4 for 4 and play the whole game though.
Would you rather go 1 for 1 off Andrew Miller, pinch hitting, and get pinch run for immediately after, or play the whole game and go 0 for 4?
Oh, 1 for 1. Come on.
Okay.
I'm trying to hit 300, bro. There's no part of me that's not trying to hit 300. I'm still trying to hit 300.
Well, it's an interesting question. It's like in golf. Would you rather strike the ball really well, like have a good ball striking day but don't score well, or have a terrible ball striking round but score pretty well?
Does one impact the next? Like, so I need the context, right? Like if I going 1 for 1 or going 0 for 4, does the 0 for 4 imply that I'm an everyday player, and the 1 for 1 implies that I'm a non-starter, as you like to call it?
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Nah, then I want the 0 for 4 then, because I'm gonna hit 300 anyway. So today's just a blip in the radar, bro.
Yeah, for the conversation, you would have to take it in isolation, in a vacuum, if you will.
Yeah, if it's in a vacuum, 1 for 1, bro. I'm hitting 300.
Very good. We got some trade action finally. Major League Baseball. Francisco Lindor to the Mets.
I was surprised this wasn't topic 1, 2.
That new owner, is it Steve Cohen? That's his name, right? New Mets owner. He is splashing the pot. He's going for it. They got a new catcher, McCann. They got Lindor. Is Syndergaard going to play this year? Is he going to be alive?
Back in June or May.
Because he's coming off Tommy John.
Yeah.
They got a bit of a rotation on their hands.
Got the Stro show. on the
DeGrom.
QO.
So the full trade, I got it pulled up here. It was,
Stroshow's getting ready to feature the slow-mo. Did you hear this? He's going to do he said he's going to change tempo on every windup.
He's like doing Pilates. He's doing boxing weak-handed.
I heard him doing an interview the other day, right? And get this. So I heard him doing
the one with Middlebrooks.
Yeah, I heard parts of it, and he was like, I was always in the cage listening to guys like Bautista and Encarnacion and Donaldson and all these guys, and I was like, Stro, you were always in the cage with me. Like I was the one that told you to mess with guys' tempo all the time. I was like, if you could just mess with people's tempo. Remember, it was like me, you, Sanchi, Pilar was there. I think Gogo was probably in there. Like the five of us were hitting. It's like, yeah, but give the credit to Joey Bats. And I'm sure he said something about it, knowing Bats, but I don't get credit. It's all right, Stro.
So Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco to the Mets. The Mets sent Ahmed Rosario, Andres Jimenez, Josh Wolf, and Isaiah Green. Who Wolf is the 25th ranked, and Green is the 28th ranked prospects in the.
So a has been and a couple of never will be's, as they would say in Major League.
Well, Rosario is 24.
Yeah, he's a has been. That's old in baseball.
25. Sorry, he's 25.
He's supposed to be like the next guy, but
McGowan used to always talk him up.
I played against him in AAA. I thought
he's
he was okay.
Career 268 hitter.
Francisco Lindor.
So in 2019, he went 287 with 15 homers, 30 doubles. Doesn't walk much.
He's a guy that should hit 300 with 10 every year, and he swings too much. So, and if he gets better at not swinging, he'll hit 300 with 10 every year.
That's a solid player.
Yeah, it's not Francisco Lindor. I said he should. Now he's got to learn how not to swing at everything.
I didn't realize Lindor in 2018 had 38 pumps.
He also had 690 something at bats. He's like led the major leagues in at bats the 3 out of the last 4 years or something like that.
3 out of the last 4 years led the league in plate appearances. Yeah. But 38 homers is still.
I didn't even look that stat up, and I knew it off the top of my head because he plays every day.
That's a lot of pumps and he's not like big. What's he listed at?
Yeah, nice swing, nice actions. I told you the time I saw him taking ground balls with a flat glove, like he was using one of the training gloves, like flipping backhand balls up to himself. Like who takes backhands with a training glove? That guy.
I feel like he is like Jose Reyes with a more level demeanor.
Listen, I play with both those dudes. Jose Reyes had he's a good player, right? Like really good talent.
From like an energy standpoint, I felt like Jose Reyes, if he wasn't playing well, you knew it.
Yeah, Lindor's just more solid across the board.
What they call him Mr. Smiles?
No Reyes, huh?
Isn't that his nickname, Mr. Smiles?
Yeah, because he's got a beautiful smile. Everything about Frankie's awesome.
Yeah, his nickname's Mr. Smile. He's a good player, man. The Mets will be very.
I want to talk about this though. Why are teams letting guys like that go? That's a generational talent, right? Like we live in an era where there's some pretty good shortstops, but that is the guy, right? If you're the Indians, and listen, you can give me this crap about like 30 million, whatever. You can't build a team around them, but like. You just got back a bag of balls and some Louisville sluggers for that guy. Like, and not to mention, they just sent Cookie over there too, who's like a frontline starter. He's like the number 2 or 3 starter in the big leagues. So like literally, you just got a frontline starter and the best shortstop in baseball for another shortstop who's like okay, and a couple buckets of balls, and for a couple of guys that like you're hoping turn to be good. So you have no idea if they're going to be good or not. Like, how's that? Like, I don't pay the guy the money. Like, keep him. Like, he is your franchise.
In terms of WAR, he's a top 5 shortstop in the league. In terms of WOBA, which I love, he's they got Bregman listed as a shortstop on Fangraphs, but he plays 3rd. They also have Gleyber Torres, so we're gonna say he's definitely top 10 shortstop across the board, offense, defense.
Dude, he's the best shortstop. Last year was he hit like 260.
I'm going off of 2019 stats.
Whatever. He's the best shortstop.
I think Carlos Correa would have something to say about that. Fernando Tatis Jr. has got something to say about
That's
that.
the only argument you could make to me right now that might fit the bill. Lindor
Club
switch
closes, there you
hits, patient, professional at bats, good
Corey
teammate,
Seager's got something to say about
great
that.
energy. Seager's been hurt. I mean, Seager's
Trey
a good player.
Turner's
Trey Turner and no Frankie, dog. I'm telling you.
in terms of production, Trey Turner's pretty good.
Looking at all these peripherals, dude, the outside metrics. That Francisco Lindor is the best shortstop in the game.
Trey Turner hit 335 with 12 and 16
Trey
games.
Turner's a good player, dude. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's not Francisco Lindor.
Trevor Story's pretty good.
Not Francisco Lindor.
I think Lindor brings energy in a way that other guys don't, which makes other people better around them, which is important. That matters. Doesn't show up on the Fangraphs page.
The Mets are going to come with it, though. They're trying. At least they're spending money. At least somebody's opening up their piggy bank.
The Indians have been saying for years they're not going to sign him.
Yeah, but that's
they had to try to
stupid.
get something for him.
That's stupid. What did they get?
They got 4 guys. As you said, a couple, what'd you say? They got a couple fungos or something?
They got a dude, a couple buckets of balls, and some Louisville sluggers. A dude who's played shortstop in the big leagues. A bucket of balls. Some Louisville sluggers.
Not even some Chandlers, some Louisvilles?
I don't get it, man. Like, you're multi-billion-dollar franchises. Like, just sign players. Just keep your players that are your players. Like, this is why the game's starting to suck. Nobody's going to play their whole career in one place. Ever. Again. Ever.
So
Mike Trout might be the only one, and he's probably going to get traded at some point during that deal, too.
So at the facility here, Chris Paddock trains here. So I saw him the day after they signed Yu Darvish with the Padres after they traded for him. And I was like, hey, man, that's pretty – got to be looking forward to spring training. And he's upbeat about it. And I was talking to Scott Lacey, the pitching coach here. And I was like, so what, that makes it like 3 or 4 teams that are trying to win right now? How many teams are actually trying to win right now?
The Dodgers, the Padres, and the Mets.
Dodgers, Padres, Mets. Cubs are not. Red Sox are doing like a rebuild. They're a team that over the last decade has been in the conversation.
The Yankees notoriously always try to win.
But if they were trying to win, my argument is LeMahieu would be
Why
signed.
is LeMahieu not signed? But the Yankees have enough pieces to try to win without him. Now, if you made the argument to me that they needed a couple more pitchers, they signed a couple bullpen guys that were not flashy signs. I would say
they didn't sign Tanaka. You think Tanaka's a piece for them?
What?
Tanaka.
I thought they were going to go out and get Bauer, but I just found this out. Bauer and Cole hate each other, apparently.
Oh, yeah. They're
I
not
didn't know
friendly.
that. They played college baseball together. They hate each other.
Bauer always says publicly that he's got no problem with them, but
yeah,
there's some beef there.
Cole always struck me as an interesting cat.
No, but what are the team? Like, I would say if the Yankees were trying to win, LeMahieu would be signed. Tanaka would be.
The Astros are like de facto trying, but they should win the West.
There's like, you think like Didi Gregorius should be available right now?
No, I don't think
anybody's trying to win.
I think, and not to mention, it's not that they're not trying to win. They're like, a lot of teams are not trying to win, right? Number one, but this is how they soften the market. Like Kipnis had he shouldn't have written this because whatever. What are we gonna wait till March this year to start signing? Like teams just don't want to pay players. And like this is the most collusion I've ever seen over the last 3 years, and it's gonna be the most this year. Dude, average salaries in the big leagues are going down. They're going down. It's ridiculous. Revenues are going through the roof. Average salary going down. Like, give me a break, man. Come on.
What's the they're gonna definitely use the whole COVID situation.
Oh yeah. Although I did hear
collective
that
bargaining's up too, right? After this year, collective bargaining. And the 21. Yeah. Everybody needs to sign 1-year deal.
Yeah.
See what happens. The Patrick asked, do teams punting payroll hurt fan engagement and interest? Hard to gauge compared to teams. I would say, yeah. I mean, doesn't Jared Diamond of the Wall Street Journal, he's talked to us about this, and you feel the same way. Like, you should want your team to be over the luxury payroll tax. Like, go out and spend money to get the best players and try to win. They're straight up running things like a business. Like,
They're trying to make people believe that a 12-year-old player is more important than a 32-year-old player.
Yeah.
That he's going to be better. Like, I get it. The 12-year-old's important, right? Because you need to develop around him and sustain. But like, if you win, it doesn't matter. You're going to generate revenue. Like, people don't understand. Like, if you're not making revenue for the league, then the people who are making revenue for the league will just give you money. Like, you're like, the value of your team's not going to go down. It's so stupid. If you're losing money, that luxury tax money comes to you.
It's pretty crazy. The whole thing's crazy. Let's go. Last topic, post show. We are being asked of our Super Bowl predictions.
Dude.
Now that we're through, what do they call it? Super wild card weekend.
Dude, triple had a Saturday and triple had a Sunday, dude.
I think picking against the Chiefs is.
I think picking against touchdown Tommy is the most ridiculous thing anybody could ever do in the history of doing anything of Evanes. Dude, that's what I'm going to tell you right now. Did you watch my guy Tommy? Bro, if it weren't for Chris Godwin, this guy would have gone 46 for 40 passing with 499 yards and 17 touchdowns. Chris Godwin dropped 11 balls and hit him right in the hands. 11. I think the real number was 5, but it felt like 26. So I'm going to average that out to 11. Tommy was awesome. And all this guy, Tony Dungy, wanted to talk about on the other side was how this guy, Taylor Heineken, the beer, was freaking nice for the Redskins. And they're not even the Redskins anymore. They're the Washington football team. Tommy Brady is going to win his 43rd Super Bowl this year.
That can't be your honest pick.
All right, now that I'm out of my Tom Brady voice.
I
think the Buccaneers have just as good a chance as anyone. Not going to lie to you. Their offense is off the charts right now. I think it's, no matter what, it's going to be an offensive Super Bowl. I was impressed with the Saints all year. I was impressed with them when they beat the Bucs in week 1, but this is the kind of week that Tommy just sneaks up on somebody. I think it's kind of open, man. Like, the Packers are nice, but I just don't think there's any like clear-cut favorite in the NFL. I mean, I think the Chiefs obviously stand out, but I wouldn't put it past the Browns going there and winning after the win yesterday.
Well, I mean, they were gifted 21 points in the first.
They've got their whole team coming back from COVID, and they just won at Pittsburgh, who was 11-0 to start the season. So, like, they're probably going to be riding in there pretty high.
They were red flags with Pittsburgh the whole year.
I mean, you started the year 11-0 in the NFL, though. So
with red flags.
Yeah, I mean, but you started 11-0. So, let me just tell you something, pal. The NFL is so fragile that anything can happen. And home field advantage is no longer a thing anymore because it's not like you're packing 80,000 in there. So Arrowhead, where was the best home field advantage ever, like the Chiefs laid an egg 2 weeks ago and almost lost to lose the number 1 seed against the freaking Falcons. Like, Matt Ryan was about to put it down their throats. They were losing the whole game, had one big drive. And the Chiefs are clearly like the most talented team, but
Patrick Mahomes is ridiculous.
Don't give Brady time in that pocket, dude. Don't let him like understand coverages. Did you see the throws he was making the other day?
I actually didn't watch that game.
Oh my god,
I saw highlights.
He was as good as I've ever seen him play.
That's saying something.
He went 22 of 40, and he should have probably been 30 of 40 because they literally had 8 to 10 drops. He was dropping dimes over people's shoulders, like just knew every right throw to make, knew when to get rid of the ball, knew when to make. And the best parts about Tom Brady are when he makes the first and whatever throw to the goal line, and it's down and away from his receiver, and the guy doesn't catch it, and people are like, oh, that was a bad throw, but he only threw it in the spot where his guy could catch it. He threw a ball to Gronk, like he just didn't turn the ball over.
How about, let's go with this. What game are you most looking forward to next week?
I mean, I hate the Ravens, so I won't watch Ravens-Bills. Like, watching the Bills in the playoffs was like watching paint dry. I hate the Ravens. I hate the way they play. Lamar's like exciting, but I hate it.
That's my game. The game.
So I won't turn the TV on for that at all.
That's like the game I want to watch the most. I think the matchup between Allen and Jackson is exciting.
I don't want to watch. I mean, Packers game, Packers Rams is not exciting to me. I'm just gonna get excited for that Sunday night battles, dude. Tommy and Drew Brees. Combined age of the quarterbacks is 114. It's unbelievable, dude. You got two quarterbacks that combined to be 114 years old playing in that game, and they're the two best quarterbacks on the planet, except for the ones that are better than them.
Can Drew Brees throw the ball more than 30 yards?
Drew Brees is still nice, man. Drew Brees is still nice.
No, that'll be a good game. I was shocked that Henry didn't get running at all. The Titans Baltimore game.
Yeah, he only ran. He blew his, in the regular season over 2,000 yards. Over 2,000 yards in the regular season. He got rid of all his yards.
They sold out to the run.
That's the first time the Ravens have come back from down 10 points. Like either in the playoffs or ever in like this year or something.
Lamar's a ridiculous athlete.
Yeah, just keep him in the pocket. He can't beat you. If they keep him in the pocket, you can't beat him. That's what happened last year. They kept him in the pocket. Just make the guy throw the ball. He can't beat you, dude. It's the same. It's the same defense the Patriots used in the Super Bowl against Seattle 10 years ago, whatever it was.
All right. Well,
6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Anything else? You got anything else rundown or post show?
Nope.
Yeah, that's it then.
Tommy Brady. Even though I wish I had a Dunkin' Donuts coffee for that.
Very good. Well, that concludes this episode of Pelotero Pickle. All right, that's it. Pickle out.